Hello friends, welcome back to Dundock's channel. We have already discussed about the pathogenesis, etiology and introduction of the pyogenic meningitis in our previous video, right? So now let us discuss about the clinical features, investigations and the treatment part in this video. Let us start with clinical features. Right, in bacterial meningitis, there will be fever associated with chills. And the two famous signs of the meningitis, Koenig sign and Brudzinski sign. Okay, so there will be the neck stiffness due to this meningeal irritation, and the most important signs of the meningeal irritations are the Koenig sign and the Brudzinski sign. Koenig sign is nothing but there will be resistance for the extension of the leg when the hips are flexed. Okay, whereas in Brudzinski sign, when we try to flex the neck of the person who is having this meningeal irritation, there will be the flexion of the hips and knees in response. Okay, so when we try to flex the neck, there will also be the flexion of the hips and knee. This is a Brudzinski sign. Okay, so in meningitis, usually there will be a triad present, that is fever, which is of high grade type, and there will be neck stiffness and also the altered sensorium. Fine. So there will be also be increased intracranial pressure in the meningitis. Okay. So these are the few signs and symptoms of increased intracranial pressure. So they are headache, projectile vomiting. Projectile vomiting is a type of vomiting which is not preceded by the nausea. Okay, and there'll be an altered sensorium. There'll be photophobia. There'll be seizures, brain herniation, and cranial nerve palsy. Okay, palsy. So due to increased cranial, there'll be altered sensorium. Fine. So brain herniation occurs to escape the pressure. Okay, this may occur through foramen magnum. Okay, so there are many cranial nerves that are affected, that are third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Okay, but sixth cranial nerve is the most affected one when compared to all these other cranial nerves. Okay, when if the organism which is causing this meningitis is Neisseria meningitidis, there will be sensory neural hearing loss in the patient. Okay, so when there is a Neisseria meningitis infection, there will be a sensory neural hearing loss in the patient. So these are chills, fever, so Brudzinski sign and the Koenig sign. Okay, so now let us move on to the diagnosis part. So here diagnosis part is divided into clinical and the CSF analysis and also into the imaging. Fine. So now let's see clinical. Clinical, there could be subjective, that are symptoms. Objective, those are signs which we have discussed earlier. Okay. So next comes the CSF analysis. For the CSF analysis, we puncture at L3 and L4 level, or L5 to L4 to L5 level. We do lumbar puncture and collect the CSF fluid. Okay, so the indications for the CSF analysis are GBS, that is Guillain-Barré syndrome, subarachnoid hemorrhage, severe thunderclap headache, demyelinating conditions. Okay, so these are the few indications for the lumbar puncture for the CSF analysis. Okay, so in the condition of the pyogenic meningitis, so these are the parameters which will be analyzed. So the opening pressure would be greater than 180 mm of water, and the WBC count would be 10 to 10,000 per microliter. This is a raised count, very much raised count. So there will be predominantly neutrophils present in the pyogenic meningitis, as this is acute phase. And when we compare this with the TB meningitis, there will be lymphocytes more when compared to the neutrophils. Okay, so glucose will be less than 40 mg per dl, which is less, and the ratio of CSF glucose to serum glucose would be less than 0.4. The protein is slightly increased at this end, that is greater than 45 mg per dl. And if we send this for the PCR, polymerase chain reaction, we can find, or we can detect the bacterial DNA which is causing this thing. So we could see the color, which would be turbid due to the increase of the protein concentration in the CSF fluid. Usually it's transparent and it's clear but due to increase in the protein, the color would be the characteristic feature would be turbid. Okay, so what are the contraindications of the lumbar puncture? So that would be raised ICP. So if we conduct a lumbar puncture in a raised ICP condition, there would be uncal herniation. Okay, there would be an uncal herniation. If there is infection at the site of the puncture, that will be progressed into the spinal cord. Okay, so that's why we wouldn't do a lumbar puncture when the site of puncture is infected by some problem. And if there is a bleeding problems also, if there's a bleeding problem and leak into the spinal cord, there that would lead to some problems. Okay, if there are any spinal cord tumors, we also so we wouldn't advise any lumbar puncture. Okay, so these are the contraindications of the lumbar puncture. So you could see he's taking a CSF for the analysis through lumbar puncture. Next is imaging. We go for the CT brain, MRI, and CECT. Okay. So now let us move on to the treatment. So most of the morbidity in this acute pyogenic meningitis condition is due to the inflammation. Okay. So to decrease this inflammation, we choose steroids. Okay. So as the most of the morbidity is due to inflammation, we choose steroids to decrease the inflammation. Uh, So they could the steroids which we use are dexamethasone, prednisolone, hydrocortisone in these conditions. Okay, so for inflammation we have choose the steroids, and for the bacteria we choose the antibiotics. If the child is less than 3 months of age, we choose ampicillin or third generation cephalosporin, ceftriaxone, like that. And if the child is of age in between 3 months to 55 years, we choose vancomycin and third generation cephalosporins. Okay, so if the person is greater than 55 years, or he could be less than 55 years, and he's an alcoholic, we choose vancomycin, ampicillin, and the third generation cephalosporin. So here we added an ampicillin. Okay, so or it could be due to the post trauma, and there could be risk factors like such as post trauma or neurosurgery patients, or there could be a basilar skull fracture, which is a risk factor. Which are the risk factors? We could choose cetirizine or meropenem with vancomycin. Okay, so this is about the clinical features, diagnosis, and the treatment of pyogenic meningitis. Okay, like, share, and subscribe Dundocs. Thank